Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand some more interesting things about Shatabhisha energy. So when Shatabhisha energy is associated with ascendant or ascendant lord, you can clearly understand it gives the native their own particular brand of magnetism, even though they lack some conventional charm and beauty. This is because of the impact of Rahu, as Rahu is the lord of Shatabhisha nakshatra. So, Rahu is not about conventional charm and beauty, it's a kind of Maya, right? So, the kind of magnetism associated with Rahu you can see in the Shatabhisha energy people when it is associated with ascendant or ascendant lord. And also you can clearly see the kind of appearance, the kind of clothing is also not so conventional. And of course, Shatabhisha people are a bit calm, quiet, shy, and reserved, but they, however, have a tendency to explode every now and then. So, even though they are calm and quiet, you can clearly understand and observe they explode every now and then. And absent mindedness is another quality when you talk about Shatabhisha. So, this kind of absent mindedness is one of the marked features of Shatabhisha. And if you observe, they usually convey a sense of aloofness, even if they are genuinely attentive from the inside. Even though they are listening from the inside, and when you're talking to a Shatabhisha energy person, you can feel that they're absent minded to an extent. So, their negative traits, if you talk about the negative traits of Shatabhisha, if some malefic planet is placed in Shatabhisha, you can understand it gives a kind of laziness, addiction, perversion, and vulnerability to all types of mental, emotional, psychological disorders. When you see the negative traits, means when a malefic planet is placed in Shatabhisha energy, and that too when you see the ascendant lord is placed in Shatabhisha energy, and that particular ascendant lord which is placed in Shatabhisha has some aspect of Mars or Saturn, you can see this kind of behavior: a laziness, addiction, perversion, and vulnerability to all types of mental, emotional, and psychological disorders. If you see the ascendant lord is placed in Shatabhisha and has some beautiful aspects like some Jupiter aspect or some good aspects, then the positive qualities you can see more positive qualities. Of course, the Shatabhisha energy gives both positive and negative qualities, but the proportion you can understand based on the placement of the ascendant lord and its aspects. So the positive qualities of Shatabhisha are enterprise, discrimination, and philosophical attitude and truth seeking. A truth seeking of Shatabhisha is much more similar to Mula Nakshatra. And unbounded vision is another good quality of Shatabhisha. And on a material plane, if you think in terms of materialistic uh, things, Shatabhisha has a tendency to make a zero out of the things it affects in a nativity. So, what does that mean? Making zero out of anything is Shatabhisha. That's, for example, if someone has their let us say second lord placed in Shatabhisha, they might experience uh, a complete loss of family at some stage of their lives. So placement of Shatabhisha, right? It's placement of some planet in Shatabhisha is not completely auspicious, so the person has to perform some kind of propitiations. Let us say the second lord is in Shatabhisha and it has some uh, aspects of Saturn or Mars, and let us say even that second lord is on the Rahu Ketu axis. Just imagine that second lord is impacted a lot. It may not be a family loss, it can be money loss as well, because second lord indicates money as well, right? So a family loss, a complete family loss, you can observe sometimes when second lord is placed in Shatabhisha, and most of the times it can happen, the family loss can happen if a Saturn, Mars and such kind of malefic planets are aspecting the second lord. So making zero out of anything is some kind of negative trait of this one, right? A kind of aloofness, absent-mindedness, a kind of laziness, perversion, addiction. So these are all Rahu's, fundamental qualities. And in the universal scheme of things, Shatabhisha uh, has it's mainly associated with the power of healing. They can heal. It means, see, they can try to understand others because of that Rahu's, that kind of behavior. You can see, they can understand others because they have gone through this kind of things, right? So they have this power of healing. So when someone is in, someone has some emotional disturbances, so let us say Shatabhisha can understand it because it also has that kind of emotional disorder, right? So it can understand the pain basically. So when a person is going through some kind of emotional turmoil, uh, emotional problems, then Shatabhisha can understand, okay, this is the pain this person is going through, right? So that way it can understand and it can try to heal. It is able to heal. It also knows the way or the technique to heal the person. And if you see, it has power to heal, a very great power to heal. That's what our ancient rishis observed. And its symbolism also, um, it has pervasiveness and also support. Pervasiveness and support, right? You can use these. So if you take Shatabhisha in the middle, in the upper part you can take pervasiveness, and in the lower part you can take some kind of support. So this kind of symbolism uh, is basically associated with the three worlds. One is the heaven, and another one is the earth, and the third one is the world below the earth. So Shatabhisha is, so you can understand the kind of The pervasiveness and support it is associated with. So the power to heal, and Shatabhisha is said to be more pervasive than Purvashadha. You know, so why the three-world representation here? Just to show that the Shatabhisha can heal anybody in the three worlds. That much power to heal, because it can understand the kind of emotional turmoil, the kind of emotional problems, because it also might have gone through them, right? So a person who might have gone through the problems, uh, they can understand others' problems as well very clearly, right? So a power to heal others, a power to heal others, it uses a pervasiveness, and Shatabhisha is more pervasive than Purvashadha, and Shatabhisha has the capacity to understand the root of the problem, just like Mula. So the healing process, you might have seen the healing processes, healing process and all the stuff in Ashwini nakshatra, right? But the healing process of Ashwini is different, and the healing process of Rahu, this Shatabhisha, is different, right? So here, if you observe Shatabhisha, it happens through genuine repentance and sustained effort, you know. So it is a kind of different thing. It's not like, Ashwini people are, they are surgeons and they use some, the kind of healing is, uh, it's kind of some physical plane you talk about. It's surprising to see Ashwini are much more better in the physical, things, whereas as Rahu is a kind of Maya, right? It's a kind of the emotional, the kind of you can see the kind of Reiki healing or the kind of crystal healing. It's a kind of magnetism associated with it, the kind of emotional, problem resolvingness. If you observe the resolutions they try to bring, so genuine repentance and sustained effort is required uh, for longer periods of time. This kind of healing is different, right? The all pervasive power that, if you observe the media in the present society, um, all pervasiveness it has. So that is the power of Shatabhisha only, that is the power of Rahu only, right? Um, this if this pervasiveness, all pervasiveness, if it is in the wrong hands, um, you can see it's not being used to heal or teach, but to fool uh, others, to dumb down others, right? To devolute others, right? So when you talk about Shatabhisha, it has the capacity of this all pervasiveness, and even Rahu is a kind of smoke. If you observe, it is associated, it is always compared with a kind of smoke uh, which can really expand like anything, right? A more expansion. So when you talk about Rahu, you talk about Mula, because that is, when you talk about Shatabhisha, you talk about Mula, because Shatabhisha has much more similarity in deeping down into the problem and then understand the root of the problem. It's much more like Mula. And all pervasiveness, right? In order to understand others' emotional problems or something, it's much more like Purvashadha. It's of course more pervasive than Purvashadha, you can say. And the power of healing, it has the power of healing much like Ashwini, but the Ashwini is something like, you talk about surgeons, you talk about someone resolving the sexual disorders, or you talk about resolving the problems in the material plane when two people are, let us say, they are quarreling, and the kind of Ashwini uh, uh, energy it uses is the technique, the logic, and also the if someone is having some wounds or something, it uses the the healing capacity, that is the medical capacities, the medical inventions and all the stuff, right? That's a kind of different thing. But the kind of healing Rahu has is a kind of intoxication kind of healing. It's a kind of invisible healing, right? um, so when you have some kind of let us say some person has some emotional pain, so how can you resolve it, how can you heal it? So that's a kind of different healing. That's not by using some some medical things, or you cannot do that, right? That's by words, that's by the kind of it takes longer periods also, right? So that is the Rahu Maya, you can say. So that is where this particular Shatabhisha energy is coming into the place. And this is an active nakshatra, and it has some movable nature always. Shatabhisha it has some movable nature. So let us say when a person's 10th lord is placed in Shatabhisha nakshatra, so then it is very much it can be said that a person can move from one job to another, right, if he wants. And as Aquarius, it's in the middle of Aquarius, right? Shatabhisha is in the middle of Aquarius. It's an electric sign. It's a it's an active sign. So this nakshatra embodies electricity in all its different forms. When you talk about electricity, in modern world, electricity is associated with Shatabhisha energy or Aquarius energy, you can say. So in the present day and age, where most of the communication also it's very much electronic communication, it's electricity, electronic, all these things are very much associated with Aquarius and Shatabhisha. So even the communication in today's world is electronic. So this nakshatra assumes tremendous importance for today's electronic media. When you talk about electronic media or any kind of news media or something, you associate that energy with Shatabhisha. So this nakshatra is basically, it's very active and it's very fast, in much the same way as the fast moving world of this electricity, the electronic, the communication, right? So it's a kind of technology oriented, but the technology, if you observe, uh, it's a kind of it's more related to communication. And when you talk about Shatabhisha, it's also a kind of butcher energy is also associated with this. And even when rishis are dividing this into some kind of section, they divided this into some kind of butcher class. So any kind of butcher kind of activities, harsh activities, ranging from advanced medical treatment of complicated diseases to just uh, plain killing and hunting. So a kind of Rahu's energy is in the medical treatment is of complicated diseases. It's not like just doing some some surgeon or some kind of activities of a surgeon or kind of operation. It's not that. It's a very complicated thing. So the kind of healing it requires, as we discussed, is a kind of different healing. So the natives of Shatabhisha are highly who are highly influenced by this Shatabhisha energy. they have some kind of uh, butcher-like tendencies, some kind of twisted tendencies in regards to people and things, you can say. It's not a cruel or fierce, um, it, comparatively benevolent, it's not more, it's a butcher kind of class kind of thing. It's a bit harsh, but it's not very very cruel, you can say. It's uh, not a very very cruel, not a very very fierce, but yes, it has some kind of harsh activity uh, associated with it. That's why a butcher just does the activity, but it's not a kind of you can see it as a kind of harsh activity. You can say it's not so cruel also, right? Because it's required for the society or something, right? Butcher doesn't kill, he is not a murderer. That's what I want to tell it. So the Shatabhisha is not cruel, but a kind of harsh. So butcher is not a murderer, but he just you know does his duty or does his activity. And as a balance of masculine and feminine energies you can find in Shatabhisha. So it's a kind of nakshatra finding balance between the feminine and masculine energy. It's not completely masculine, it's not completely feminine, you can say. It has some balance. And it's a kind of when you talk about why we talk about feminine and masculine. See, because when you talk about the fifth lord, right, when fifth lord is connected, it doesn't promote childbirth. If it is connected with the fifth house or fifth lord is in Shatabhisha, it doesn't promote much, you know. Or let us say somebody has Jupiter in Shatabhisha. Jupiter indicates children, right? So when Jupiter is in Shatabhisha, then also you can see, right, as a problem related to childbirth. So let us say fifth lord is in Shatabhisha, but Jupiter is very strong in somebody's horoscope, then yes, they have some kind of good children, and that is okay. But let us say Jupiter is also not so well placed, then and their fifth lord is in Shatabhisha, let us say, then you can say they have some problem associated with Shatabhisha. So the neutral quality also makes it very, you can say, very dexterous in regards to its dealings with people, which is ideal for media and media related activities. So the neutral quality, being neutral, behaving neutral, so that kind of you know energy, you can see that kind of balance you can find here. So media doesn't it's tactically, it doesn't react much to unnecessary. It's not unnecessary in the sense that can harm itself, that can harm the media itself. So it can ignore, right, the current media. It has the tactics. That's what I want to tell. It knows where to react neutrally. So if you observe the body parts, uh, it's associated with the ja portion, which emphasizes its relation to the act of eating, drinking, and speaking, basically. So it is also related to right thigh. So right thigh and ja, right? And these are very much related with Shatabhisha energy. Thanks for watching this video. In our next video, we'll try to talk more about Shatabhisha energy. Thank you.